much for joining us. I've got Tarek with me today, and we're going to be talking through the idea of vendor selection in the world of digital transformation. Before we dive into the questions that I've got for you, can you give everybody a quick introduction?
Sure. My name is Tarek Chaudhry. I am the Director of Business Transformation at Olive Technologies. I'm a certified PMP and a business process management professional, and I've got about 15 years of experience in technology evaluations and implementations across various industries such as tech, retail, healthcare, government. In terms of Olive, I guess the introduction to Olive is the result of the digital transformation and business transformation principles applied to the highly manual and spreadsheet riddled and resource intensive digital transformation / RFP / technology evaluation process used across the industry right now.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And so I always like to start by and you alluded to it a little bit in this introduction of why is vendor selection such a thing that, like, I would guess both vendors and consumers of technology equally dread when it comes to creating an RFP or responding to one, but also just the sheer amount of vendors. So what makes that process so overwhelming for an organization?
A few different things, to be quite honest. One could be the process or the approach within the organization itself. And, we've done a webinar on it, navigating digital transformation, talking about this specific use case problem. The other could be just lack of knowledge, right? Like when organizations start to look for something, they're not experts in it, right? So they don't know what they should be looking for, or what, you don't know what you don't know. So what should I be looking for? Another aspect of vendor evaluation that's really overwhelming is stakeholder engagement. And that's where you see people really taking shortcuts and either not engaging enough stakeholders or engaging the wrong stakeholders, maybe just selecting a few key people to say, oh, they'll be the representative group. Because if you think about it, stakeholders, anyone impacted by the project, but that could mean hundreds. So how do you get meaningful feedback from all the stakeholders in a manner that doesn't take forever? Another thing that is overwhelming is, like, everyone has a day job already, so it is resource intensive. So you're asking somebody to work on something different outside of their normal work while they still have to maintain their full workload. Time itself can be an overwhelming factor that, hey, we need a solution really quick because of planning, or something's coming to end of life, or whatever the case may be. And really, I think one of the key factors here is improper tools as well. So using spreadsheets, emails, conversations in hallways to manage vendor evaluation and capturing all of that information in a cohesive document can be overwhelming itself.
So as you're going through this process, one of the things that we suggest to our customers a lot is that they, rather than going out and looking for the type of solution they believe they should have and kind of like shaping their requirements based on the technology, requirements should really be what's driving what tools you're bringing into your organization. Can you talk a little bit about that idea of requirements driven kind of platform selection and why that you think is critical for success?
Oh, absolutely. And, we experience that as well, where people come in, customers come, or organizations that, oh, we need this kind of solution. And then if you ask the question, well, what needs is it going to address for you? And, they don't really have a fully vetted out answer to that. It's like, oh, things are going to get easier, or things are going to get faster. It's going to be more efficient, but not really necessarily the needs of the business or the end user. Requirements are critical from our perspective to understand what your business actually needs to succeed. Technology is not the answer. It's not as simple as, if I get this new system, all of a sudden I'm going to get 100x in sales. It is really addressing the needs of your business, which is the most important thing to do. And that comes from requirements, and requirements can really be used in 3 different ways from my perspective. One is, first, you need to make sure they align with your strategic goals and objectives. So, for example, if your objective is to become have a greater online presence, but all of your requirements are to do with in person needs, it doesn't quite align. So you need to you use requirements to align to strategic objectives. You also use them to capture and understand the actual stakeholder needs and drive towards alignment using requirements. And of course, the last piece is that's how you compare the vendors, right? The exact functionality based on those requirements to ensure they can deliver the solution that will help you achieve your desired objective.
So one of the things that we talk a lot about too during a vendor selection process is kind of like making sure, just as you said, like how are you addressing those requirements? Are your vendors really sharing comparable or like apples to apples comparisons with you for how to make that selection? Can you talk a little bit about how organizations can maybe strive towards that idea of making sure that they are comparing comparable functionality between the solutions?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about from the traditional sense or traditional approach to this, is organizations will maybe create an RFP or an RFI or an RFX, and send that out to the vendors with, here's our needs, here's some questions. And when that response comes, it is an articulated response, right? They give you a lot of details, a lot of words, and it's really hard to decipher out of that what was the context and what is the actual answer, and then how do you compare that to the next vendor. I do believe you can do an apples to apples comparison quite easily if you start to by first using the right tools, but by taking the time to plan and collaborate and document your actual needs, and then comparing the vendor functionality at that level of requirement. Now you have the ability to compare apples to apples. But further to that, you need a mechanism to identify which apple is better as well, right? So you need to first control the response that you get from a vendor by saying, here's your options, preferably at where you're providing an option-based answering system. But additionally, on top of that, you need a mechanism to rate that response. So for example, if I have two different vendors that are responding to, hey, I need the ability to upload. They both do it. They say we're a match. We absolutely provide this functionality. One of them does it in one click, quickly upload your documents. The other one requires you to jump through 10 different hoops. You're not going to say that they're equal, right? You're going to want the mechanism to say one is a 5 out of 5 and the other one is a 0 out of 5, for example. Most companies will utilize vendor scorecards, but those are too high level and subjective. So you need to take it down back to the requirement level and rank a vendor's functionality at the requirement level.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me to talk a little through that. And I would encourage anybody that's interested in learning a little bit more about how Olive might be able to help them through that kind of vendor selection process and get them away from some of those spreadsheets and moving towards more of a digital way for selecting solutions for digital transformation, to check you guys out. But thank you very much for joining me today, and I appreciate your time, and have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
If you're looking for expert tips on how to get started with your transformation, or looking to hone in on your approach, make sure that you subscribe to our channel to catch our weekly Digital Transformation Talk series, where we interview experts from around the world on how to make it happen.